So it looks like we've had a little plateau with our attendees. We do anticipate people will join throughout the evening, and that, again, won't be a problem. We will record it and share it later. But I want to thank everyone for being with us tonight, taking time out of your evening to join us and hear about what's gone on this year, where we are, and provide some inside information, and then tee up where we're headed and where we're going next year. A reminder, for those of you who participated in any of our webinars before, there are ways for you to engage, and especially for evenings like tonight, we want you to do so. So on your panel, your participant panel, you will see a Q&A button. We encourage you, beginning now, to post any questions that you have to that Q&A panel. We will do our very best to save some time at the end of the webinar to address as many of those questions as we can. For those questions that we're unable to get to tonight, we will put together a frequently asked question and get those back to all the participants. So again, thanks for being with us. And with that, it is my honor to turn it over to Dr. Berg.
Hello, ASD families. My name is Dr. Becky Berg, and I'm your interim superintendent from about March through June. So I get the fun part of the school year. You may wonder why we're here. And we believe this is an important night. It's a night to show that we care about you, that this is a partnership, that we have accountability for the tuition dollar and for our educational outcomes. And we're accountable to deliver on the mission. This is an annual event. And if you remember last year, it was outside under the stars right before COVID closed us down. So our mission and core values really ground us as a school. And for me, it's the most important piece about the school because it's palpable. You can see our mission is to challenge and inspire each student. We mention dreams, we mention passion, and we mention contribution in a rapidly changing world. You know our core values. We repeat them often: of compassion, excellence, integrity, respect, and responsibility. It's important for a school, especially a school as proud as the American School of Dubai, to recognize its history and to keep that narrative going through the campus changes, through the generational changes, because it really helps define us. As some of you may know, we were established in 1966. It was originally to support the families of the Dubai Petroleum Company. We opened with 11 students. I certainly hope we knew each one by name, strength, and need, and 2 teachers, and we started in an apartment on the Deira side of town. Our school was incorporated as a not-for-profit school in 2004, and that's huge. Although we're not a public school, we're a nonprofit school. We'll talk a little bit about that lately, but we're accountable to you, our families, to our employees, and most importantly, to our students, rather than shareholders. And that really sets us apart from other schools in the region. We started as the Cultural Foundation under the patronage of H.H. Sheikh Maktoum bin Rashid Al Maktoum. We continue to receive tremendous support from H.H. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. We so value this relationship. And as some of you know, we moved roughly 10 years ago to the Al Barsha campus, from Jumeirah to Al Barsha. And this shepherded tremendous growth in enrollment and in the program. We grew into the comprehensive school that we are now, but we are very much trying to keep that family feel and that connection that we had on our other campus as well. So we're trying to be the best of both worlds. We have some highlights and successes. We certainly have room to grow, but we're pretty proud of some of the work that we have done over the past year. First and foremost, as much as we don't want to admit it, COVID happened. Our COVID response has taken so much energy from you as families, from our students, from the authorities in Dubai, and from us as a school. We're thankful to be in Dubai, where the authorities have really taken a proactive approach. In July of 2020, we received 130 health and safety protocols for us to follow for the school year. Although that's, it's a lot of protocols, we really believe that they are in the best interest of our students and families. Sometimes a little frustrating because I don't know about the logic sometimes, but we really do trust the authorities in keeping us safe. We are proud to be in a country that has prioritized our health and safety. And certainly as a school, we have supported every effort of the authorities and keep our kids safe. It's totally important. During this time this year, we had a health and wellness week. And that may seem like a little bit of fluff, that's kind of a slogan or something we do. But truly, in times of COVID, I'm sure you have read about mental and physical well-being needs of our students, of our employees, of our families, and our community. So we really focused our energy this year on one specific week. We had health and wellness. We had physicals. We had attended to emotional health. We had cooking classes. I learned about the Tabata workout, which I have not been brave enough to do, but our PE teachers engaged in a live session of that. And we even had some attention to anxiety management and well-being. And we really coined the phrase of hashtag ASD together because we need to stay together through trying times such as these. Learning during COVID, boy, have we all been learning, but whether as families, as employees, as board members, as students, as a community. We are very much learning about engagement and adaptability. And I'm sure you've seen some things on Facebook like, how will I make up the difference for my child? When really we've been saying they will learn so much about navigating ambiguity and all of the unknowns. Those are some soft skills, or as I like to say, enduring skills that we can't replicate usually. We also started a new school this year called At ASD. Forgive me if you hear some background noise. Our gardener is blowing our leaves off our patio. At ASD was a 100% online school that we started this year, and we've learned so much about students and their learning this year. Aren't they adorable? These are some of our At ASD students. I love the first day of kindergarten hat. And Mr. Mark Buschini has been our administrator. We've had some valiant teachers and some valiant families navigating the 100% online option. What I have learned is many of our families who've been 100% online had some questions about COVID, as we all did. What are the vaccine rates? What are the safety protocols? What do we do if we're in an intergenerational home? So although it was required by KHDA to host this school, it really was worthwhile for the families involved. And we thank you for your participation and for the employees' valiant service. We constantly try to meet the diverse learning needs of our students, and we'll talk about this a little bit later as well. We try to understand the uniqueness of every child. We ensure they have access to the education that they deserve. And we intervene not only with more support, but with more challenge. So wherever a child is on the continuum, it is our duty to reach their needs. We've got some ways to grow there, but it is in our core belief as educators that that is our duty and mission. Contribution and informed action. This is another part of our previous strategic plan. We take seriously, and I'm sure you know, the service learning of our children, global citizenship, and sustainability. And I'll talk a little bit more about those details as we go through the slides. We are proud of our award that we received from the Middle States Association. And they are our accrediting agency, and we've received the Program of Distinction Award in Service Learning. That was not easily achieved, and that was definitely a team effort. Now, these look like a lot of numbers and a lot of kind of USA Today graphics, but behind each number is one of our children, one of our students, who has somehow found a way to get excited about service learning and to commit themselves to making the world a better place. I'll let you read through those, and then I'll elaborate on the middle school advisory program. So again, those are fairly self-explanatory, but being a former middle school person, I want to shed a little light on the middle school students. Sometimes we think that middle school students are in a developmental stage where they're all about themselves, and it just isn't true. Our teachers and staff and service learning professionals really engage students through their advisory to do different projects to make the world a better place, even in our little local ASD campus. They gave gift baskets to our workers, sent encouraging notes. They painted rocks with inspirational quotes and left them all over the campus, which was quite a nice surprise. The reading buddies, older students read with our first graders and really modeled not only reading skills, but growing up skills, should we say. We took care of our security guards and our workers around the campus. And really what we're trying to do is help our children be change agents and realize that even at 11 or 12 years old, they can make a difference starting at ASD. We had our first inaugural, I guess inaugural means first, Middle School Sustainability Summit. And you can see it by the numbers. This was a 2 or 3 day event, as I remember, starting with 8th graders and then the 6th and 7th graders. And really, our students produced 100 prototypes of public service announcements of really noble causes that they wanted to promote to make the world a better place. Some of them also made actual models of their project, like wind-generated turbines and a hybrid car that could go over really rough terrain, and connected those to the sustainability goals. So we're very proud of our middle schoolers. We're also proud of our facilities, and thank you to everyone who's been involved in dreaming big about what ASD could be now and into the future. We, of course, have an obligation to take care of our assets. So we have very committed to ongoing life cycle maintenance of all of our grounds and all of our facilities. I've never seen such a place so committed to this. We also have a comprehensive master plan. So as we decide to improve something or add a little something or change a little something, it's not random. It's all involved with a comprehensive plan that architects help us decide. So as you see some improvements in the ELC playground or other areas, know that that is a very methodical decision that we make in line with future planning. And look at our early learning center. It is state of the art. It is phenomenal. And we looked brilliant when we were required by KHDA to have learning pods of 10 students or fewer. I'm not sure we could have done that had this project not been completed on time and ready for our littlest learners of 3 and 4 years old to rush in and to engage in education during COVID. So we're very thankful for this facility, and it really is state of the art. So I mentioned our 3-year-olds, and here's a little beauty right here who's 3. And if you ever get a chance, once you get back on campus, which we can't wait for you to do, I personally would love to give you a tour, and many of us would, of this early learning space. It's flexible learning spaces designed to support curiosity and collaboration. It is nothing like the place I went to when I was 3, or many of us had gone to when we were 4 or 5. It is full of places to experiment as a child, to exhibit wonder and curiosity. We call the space the third teacher. You, the parent, are clearly a child's first teacher. Our teachers are very skilled at coming alongside, and the space is very intentionally designed for exploration, for wonder, and for student voice and choice. It's a joyful place to be. And oh, the class of 2021. We are sorry to see them go, and they have been just warriors in this COVID world. And they've been so flexible. As we got toward our unknown graduation, many of them were we just want to be together. We have no high expectations for what this will look like. We're just so joyful at being able to graduate high school. So you can see by the numbers, we had 156 graduates. College acceptances off the charts. If you were able to attend one of our 2 graduations, it was incredible. Our children are going clearly to North American schools, which is part of our charter for leaving here and going to North American colleges. But there were students attending schools all over the world, and we couldn't have been more proud. We also had 13 lifers, and that's our casual term for students who've been with us from K1 through grade 12. And in a mobile society, that's pretty awesome when we can recognize kiddos and families who've committed to Dubai and committed to ASD. And speaking of graduation, you may have known that we had 4 different regulations at different times, and we therefore planned 4 different graduations consecutively. I likened it to planning a royal wedding. That may be a little too over the top, but our staff attended to every detail. Should it be off campus and only parent promoted? Should it be on campus without parents? Should it be off campus with a combination of parents and school promotion? And then at the last minute, we had to apply for KHDA approval for our plan. Luckily, we had Kent Cooper, who helped us connect with La Pearl, which was just a glorious location. And on June 2nd at 11 a.m., we were given permission to graduate on June 4th in the afternoon at La Pearl. And for those of you that were able to join us, it was a pretty amazing event. We're also very proud of every graduate, whether they grow up to be someone who's a behind-the-scenes person that's changing the world, or a front row person that's changing the world, but we really believe our Falcons are forever going to change the world. And here's just a few examples. I know that he'll probably be embarrassed, but Nikki Dariani, our vice chair of our board of trustees, you may have seen him highlighted in ASD News lately, and he's a great success story, and we love partnering with his wife and his 3 bundles of energy here at the campus. We also were able to take part in a webinar with Serene Habaya from the class of 07. She's located in Washington, D.C., and a specialist on serving students who have neurodiversity, specifically have autism. And finally, but not finally, because there are many more stories, we have Mira Mufaraz from the class of 2012. As you can see from this slide, she is a Stanford graduate student, and she created a test to predict which pregnancies are likely to result in premature deliveries. So all of these accomplishments are no small deal, and we're so proud that they are forever Falcons. And now I turn it over to Fawad, our new Director of Finance, who is going to talk a little bit about operations.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be here. And although I'm new as a director of finance, I've been involved with ASD since 2012, as I have twin kids that are not lifers, but have started school here in second grade and currently are going into their 11th grade. Going onto the next slide. So it's great to be on this part of the school, and I look forward to working with all the team, the great team, and a privilege to be part of the administration team here at ASD. In terms of user experience, and we won't spend too much time here, what we're trying to do as a school here is to make it easier for you as a parent to access ASD, to ongoing enhancements to make it a seamless online experience, because we know not only because of COVID, but everybody's being busy. We're currently in the implementation of an ERP system, which is makes it more efficient, lower duplication of work. A good example of that is when you probably saw when you signed the contract to re-enroll your child, it automatically then generates a link for you to pay that deposit. And that's one area where the ERP between admissions and finance are working together. So as we roll out this huge system, it will help us enhance and have better efficiency. We're also introducing different kind of payment channels, as you probably have seen, through direct debit, through credit card, and so forth, and through Schools Buddy for after-school activities. All of this just to make it easier for you as a parent to access and have a better user experience. As you know, ASD is a not-for-profit school, and it's very important to say that, because it allows us, as Board of Trustees, as ASD, as administrators, as teachers, and so forth, to focus on the quality of education without the worry of dedicated payments of dividends to shareholders and so forth, or return on investment on all of that. And as you know, we take our jobs very seriously, and in spite of this challenging times and so forth, this will be the third year where the fee structure for ASD has been maintained at the same level. We were able to work with the Board of Trustees to protect what's core to the ASD student experience, remain competitive in attracting and retaining world-class faculty and staff, and at the same time support all the new initiatives that the school has ongoing and going to be implementing in the future. This has been done in part by through significant cost savings exercise, but without any effect or tangible effects on anything on the classroom or in the teaching. A good example of that, of financial responsibility, is this year we established the Centralized Purchasing Center, which has led us, we kind of brought everything together. This has led us for better accountability, lower waste reduction, which also allowed us to drift for local buying. So helping ASD not only on shipping costs, better management of inventory, but also lowering our carbon footprint without asking for a lot of overseas shipments. As you know, as I mentioned earlier, we are a not-for-profit school, and part of that non-for-profit is we try to be as transparent as possible for our school community, where we have broken down the fees, as you probably see in your school fees, where we have facility fees, capital fees, and the tuition itself. This is to show our wider community how we operate under the three main buckets, where we have an operating fund, we have a capital fund, and we have a development fund. The operating fund is where we operate on a break-even budget, and that goes mainly, and we'll talk about it a little bit in the next slide, where our education is delivered, where housing and so forth. And then we have the capital fund, which we have capital projects. Becky talked about the new building for the Early Learning Center. That's one capital project that we spent. The building in Barsha is another capital project. There are other civil works that we do to make sure not only to upkeep, but to further enhance the school. And that's where the capital fee and the facilities fee go into that bucket. The third bucket is the development bucket. And this is a bucket where there's annual giving by parents and alumni and so forth, and where we raise money through galas and other events, as well as scholarship funds that the school has provided, or other patrons have provided to the school, ex-board members, teachers, and so forth, where they're given awards each year to the senior class based on the multiple criteria. So as I mentioned, the most important is on the operating side. As you can see, most of our revenue comes from tuition, and almost 75% of that tuition money goes towards dedicated and to attracting and returning our investment, which is our faculty and staff who support the school in delivering its mission and its core values and its vision. So 75% of that goes into there. And being not-for-profit, this allows us to, again, to emphasize, to focus on the quality of education rather than just satisfying a return on investment or in profits or expectation of owners or shareholders.
Thanks, Fuad. Appreciate that. And Dr. Berg, thank you for your piece as well. Just a reminder to the participants, you can post questions at any time. There's probably several questions about what Dr. Berg meant when she said USA Today graphic. I have posted a question about that too. So be prepared to answer that one, Dr. Berg. It's coming your way. I'm honored to serve a part of the admissions team here and happy to report, as Fuad just mentioned, our budget is largely driven by tuition revenue. So it's very important for us that we manage that enrollment accordingly. Happy to report that our re-enrollment is through the roof, and we're typically budgeting for 10 to 12% of our community moving out of Dubai or whatever it may be. And this year we're experiencing about half that, somewhere in the range of 5 to 6%. What we believe that speaks to is, in my opinion anyway, two things. One, continued quality of education that ASD provides to our community. We have tremendous programs, tremendous facilities, but at the end of the day, we've got truly incredible people, and our faculty are the lifeblood of this institution. And I believe that that's contributing to families wanting to stay here. They are putting other life opportunities to the side to ensure that their kids can remain in a life-changing place. The second piece is this continued movement of Dubai being a less transient community and people wanting to make this their home. So I think those two factors, in addition to a number of other things, are contributing to record re-enrollment. The other side of it is, of course, the new family interest. And across the board, we are experiencing 20 to 30% increase in inquiries and applications. There's a couple reasons to this. We've certainly continued to work and enhance in our ability to tell the ASD narrative. We also believe there's a market right sizing taking place in Dubai. This is, for those of you that don't know, the most saturated international school market in the entire world, Shanghai being the second largest and being more than half fewer in terms of the number of schools. UAE is an incredible place to live. So more and more people are wanting to come here and stay here, as I mentioned before. And then again, our programs are second to none in the life-changing opportunities that exist here. So we continue to see an increase in the number of families from Dubai who wish to transfer to ASD. So the combination of those two are putting us in a positive shape as we look ahead to next year. But the important thing to note, and this is the most important thing for us to tell you, is that we are not growing for the sake of growing. We want to make sure that we manage our growth and at the end of the day have the right size school community that allows us to offer the most robust programs and experiences possible, while also ensuring that each and every kid is truly known. Strengths, weaknesses, likes, dislikes, good days, bad days, everything in between. So making sure that that class size stays appropriate so we can accomplish those things. So we're excited on the admissions front, and hopefully that comes as good news to all of you. On the advancement front, so we've got a couple exciting things to look ahead to for next year. For those of you that participated in the Culture and Climate webinar that we had just a few weeks back, we did share with you that communication continues to be a point of feedback that we want to address. Though it indicates that we have made improvements, this is an area that's a focus for us as we look ahead. So two big things. One, we're going to be excited to release a mobile app, a communications tool to the community sometime in the fall/winter. So more to come on that. with that, we'll continue to enhance the Connect ASD pages that we launched in January this year. And in addition to those two communication tools, the ASD news piece will come into play. So our goal will be to leverage those three tools in a way that gets you the information that you need when you need it, in a way that's convenient for you to receive it. So more to come on that, but excited to share those opportunities. As Dr. Berg pointed out, we miss you guys. The students miss the opportunity to gather together. We miss the opportunity to facilitate events such as coffees and lunches with parents. So we are looking forward to, as soon as the government allows us to do so, getting all of those things back into action. Another thing that we're excited about is we're looking at opportunities to establish new events. And ones that we started last year, like this event, which was in person. We will look to have that in person again next year as allowed. In November, we're looking to launch the first annual for our Falcons golf event that'll take place in the Magis course. We're also looking to have the gala return in the spring and celebrate our community in those ways. So looking to get the events calendar full and active. And again, as Dr. Berg pointed out, as soon as we're given clearance to do so, we will have the plans in place to execute. And then another piece for us is the alumni relations. As Dr. Berg pointed out, we've got some incredible alumni. We've got a group of 156 that are joining that group or that have joined that group. And our job is going to continue to engage with them and get them engaged with our community, connect with our kids, support one another, and find ways to continue with that networking, which will include the introduction of alumni platform that will be introduced in the fall. So some exciting things on the advancement front. For those of you that have participated, thank you. You know, we are blessed with a community of families over ASD's rich history that has truly loved this place. And now we've got a great way to honor those legacies and remember all the families that have come through, while also creating an opportunity for families that want to support the school to do so. So if you haven't seen it, and I know that most of you haven't had the opportunity to be on campus, but the Legacy Wall is inside Gate 4, which is where our new Early Learning Center is. And we have 50 bricks that have already been purchased, and we're placing those up on the wall. We have done a couple individual ceremonies. Our plan is to, as we continue to launch phase 3 and 4 of this Legacy Wall program, the goal is to have a formal unveiling for the whole community this fall. Again, if events are able to take place, we will do that. So excited that this has launched, and it really is visually a quite stunning thing, but the message that it sends, what it stands for, is even more amazing. So we are excited about the launch of that program. So Dr. Berg, I will turn it back over to you to talk about what's on store for next year.
Great. Thank you, Craig. And before we talk about strategic planning, I should note that we have a very close leadership team here, that we are able to point out strengths and opportunities for growth. And due to my rookie mistake, His Highness Sheikh Maktoum bin Rashid Al Maktoum is not HH. So we are not on a first name basis, and I will claim newness to Dubai for that one. So my apologies to our Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Now I'd like to talk about strategic planning. Strategic planning is really not very exciting for many of you who've been through the process, et cetera, but it's very important for an organization to have forward-thinking vision and goals and tangible objectives toward reaching those goals. Our strategic plan that we have currently will need to be refreshed. The typical process, although there are many ways to do this, the typical process is to spend time talking about our preferred state and who do we really want to be? What are state-of-the-art international schools and beyond looking like, thinking about, and acting like? Then we take a real honest stock of where we are. We look at student data, we look at survey results, we look at perception information from our teachers, from our employees, and we're real honest and vulnerable about that stage. Once we have our preferred state and our current state really identified, then we talk about closing that gap. What kind of goals and objectives do we need to accomplish, and in what time frame to close that gap to push the organization ahead? And an organization that's not really constantly improving is slowly starting to decay. So ASD is on a winning streak, but we need to continue that by always pushing ourselves forward. And that process will be up to our board of trustees and to our new superintendent. And so stay tuned for that. They will determine the timeline, the process, and the amount of involvement of stakeholders that they desire. So stay tuned for that.
Thank you, Dr. Berg. There's a friendly face there, the one and only Fadi answering the phone. As a number of you know, and thanks to those who participated, both in the webinar a couple weeks ago, but more importantly, in any survey that we've issued or feedback mechanism, ASD is committed to facilitating a culture of feedback. We can only get better when we get the input of our stakeholders. And our commitment to you is that we're going to continue to make efforts to improve and enhance all that we do. So thanks to those of you who have participated. Now, as we look at ways to continue to build that culture of feedback, one key element of that is going to be an institutional research plan. So it's a very fancy way of us telling you that we are going to clearly outline the what, the when, and the why for all of our constituents. So you guys know when we're going to ask for feedback, why we're asking for that feedback, and what it is, the mechanism to collect that feedback will be. So a commitment to transparency and also clearly outlining so all of you are able to participate and plan for that participation. Because we do know there's some surveys that are very quick. There's also some that might be a little bit longer. And in fairness to you guys, we want to make sure that that's clearly outlined for you. And then the commitment on our part is the informed action. So once we get that feedback, we have a chance to internally work through that process. We are going to share with you our analysis, the summary of that feedback, and the commitment to using that feedback again to enhance all that we do. So this is something that has been ongoing, but it is certainly a commitment that we're going to stick with for next year. So more to come on that. But again, thanks to all of you for your participation thus far.
All right, as we look toward the future, we will have a new superintendent arriving next year named Hamilton Clark, and he and I have been in pretty constant contact to make sure that, and he's been in great contact with the board to make sure that we don't miss a step as we dream about our next steps. In thinking about that, we have two overarching themes for this year. One is instructional and one is more community building. So the first one is instructional, and that's really student-centered learning. That could sound a little bit redundant, but it used to be that you would go into your third grade classroom and you would get what you get for third grade. And as we say, you wouldn't pitch a fit. And if you had to scramble to keep up, one of your parents may have tutored you. And if you were bored to death, that might have happened at home too, or at school. What we're really trying to do is own that process a lot more. We're trying to get good, clear student achievement data in a holistic way. So it's not just standardized tests, but it's on-the-spot formative assessments, it's diagnostic assessments, it's screening data to really understand, and anecdotal data, to really understand where a child is in any point in time. And we really don't look at ability, we look at skill level, because kids have incredible ability. So if a child has a lagging skill, we need to address that. If a child has mastered the skills and is ready to chew up more information, we need to address that. And if a child is somewhere in between, we need to customize their learning for that. So sounds kind of simplistic when I say it, but it's a great deal of retooling for many of us educators. We've been working on that last year for sure, and pretty much individually this year, as we haven't been able to gather much, but people have certainly sought out classes on their own, and our teachers have just had voracious appetites for student-centered learning. So we're excited to get back to somewhat normal with professional learning next year and really drill down on each child, not all children, each child, and where they are currently, and addressing those needs. Our next overarching or second overarching theme for next year will be around reconnecting. And this was kind of a slow aha for us because we've been so up to our eyeballs in COVID and reacting that we had to take a pause as a leadership team and a board to really say, you know, we have students that have been in school that have never had normal school yet, or students that are in high school who've never had normal high school yet. We will have students potentially on overload with the stimulation of coming back. We will have parents that we have said very sincerely we have missed incredibly. So what are those structures, formal structures, whether it be decision-making structures, orientation strategies, get to know the campus kinds of things, to more social events, as has been mentioned. We really need to look at healing, if I can use that word, in a post-COVID world, and reconnecting. So we're very excited for this, and it's near and dear to our hearts. This is the question of the day. What will next year look like? And to be honest with you, we don't know. We have pivoted from 100% online to blended, to sometimes sadly sending a class of students home who may have been contact traced, to just about everything in between. So we feel like we've learned the hard way through the School of Hard Knocks of how to do some of this. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your patience with us, because this definitely was uncharted waters. All I can tell you is that based on history, we received 181 regulations from KHDA last July. And I don't say that sarcastically. It was their first time navigating these waters as well. What we do know is that very likely our governing agencies, whether it be the Dubai Health Authority, the Dubai Sports Council, KHDA, will likely wait and see the vaccination rates and the progress of this pandemic before coming out with something very quickly. So personally, I have no insider information, and I've asked many insiders, but I'm predicting we'll know a lot more beginning of August. I wish I could tell you more, but I think the authorities are going to wait and see how the world heals a little bit before giving us directives for the 21-22 school year. We're very excited to get back face to face, and so our fingers are crossed.
Thank you, Dr. Berg. And as you heard earlier, one of the transformational moments in ASD's history was the move here to El Barsha. Hard to believe it's been 10 years. I'm not really able to say that because I've only been here 3, but I know for those of you who've been here for so long, that 10 years has flown by. And this is such a huge moment in the school's history. We need to make sure that we honor it. So next year, assuming we're able to do so, we will begin a process of commemorating this historical moment. We'll have an event to celebrate, but we'll also have some deliverables to share with the community. So wanted to make sure that we shared that with you tonight, because it is something that we're looking forward to and something that has been an integral part, of course, in the school's history. So with that, it is my honor. We got a member of our board here tonight, our board chair. And with that, I'd love to introduce Rashad and have him just share a message from the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Craig. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, thank you for your ongoing support of and commitment to the ASD community. We are excited about the future of ASD and are here to ensure that our children receive a transformational learning experience. In partnership with the administration, we will ensure that ASD remains a global leader in international education. Thank you.
Thanks, Rashad, and thanks to the members of the board that are on the screen here. We are very fortunate, as Dr. Berg has mentioned here this evening, to have their guidance, leadership, fiduciary responsibility, and all of the above. And ASD is in prime position to emerge from this pandemic stronger than ever. And it's their guidance and leadership in partnership with the administration and the whole community that's going to ensure that. So thanks to all of them. And thanks for being with us here tonight, Rashad. So before we go to the Q&A, I shared this quote before, and I love it. It's simple but powerful at the very same time. It's a reminder of the work that we do and the impact that it can have. And it's not just on kids. As we look at this reconnecting opportunity, it's important that all of our lives are touched by ASD, and we're all in support of one another. And even having just been here for 3 years, this is like home. And this was a big move for our family. So I know all of you are feeling that as well. So remember, we know it. And as soon as we can get you back into your home, we will do so with open arms. And lastly, before we go into the Q&A, I thought this was a nice way to get us into it.
Jerusalema ikhaya lami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalem.
So we could have watched that forever. I thought it was just a fun way to end tonight. I will, in full transparency, I had some really corny jokes to lead into that, like before we begin, and I couldn't follow through with it. But thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. Again, these are good reminders for the important work that we do and the important role that a community like ASD serves. So with that, we would love to turn it over to Q&A, and I do see that some questions have been posed. So if you'll just be patient with me for a second, I will take a look at those and we'll address as many as we can here in about the next 7 to 10 minutes. And again, if we aren't able to get to all of them tonight, we will be sure to follow up with answers to the questions that have been posted. So just one moment. Okay, Dr. Berg, there is a question related to the return to school. So it's specifically if we come back to school and things are the same as the way they are now, is the timing going to remain the same? So let me rephrase that, sorry. If we return to normal, is it the plan for the schedule to go back to normal, or will we continue with the COVID schedule, which is the 8:15 to 2:45 schedule? That's the question.
Great question. And we would like to return to normal. I heard someone say normal is just a setting on the dryer. So I hope that's a fallacy because we really want to return to a full day. And we thank you for your patience with these shortened days because we've been required to reduce the density or the population on campus by 20%. And that has really helped us to shift kids. But our hope from the bottom of my heart, I know hope is not a strategy, but we definitely hope that those restrictions are lifted and at least for vaccinated employees and vaccinated students that we'd be able to be back on campus. But we will be in touch with you as soon as we know anything and as soon as we have some initial plans.
Thanks, Dr. Berg. There are some really good questions here. I want to thank you all for posting those. So it looks like a new family has posed a question related to their child moving to ASD from another Dubai school and acknowledging that it's been a tough year in terms of the transition. And essentially the question is, and I hope I'm paraphrasing correctly, what are the efforts going to be to support those students in addition to new students? And that is an incredibly thoughtful question and something we have absolutely been looking into. And I would even add to that, we have at ASD Kids, we have new students who've never really been fully integrated through an orientation that would traditionally be able to have them to meet other kids. And then we do have this new group of students coming in. And we are going to make every effort possible. And again, it's based on our ability to implement some of these things to create an orientation schedule that's for everyone, which will include tours. We'll try and do some fun things like orientations and games, live scavenger hunts. If we can do some virtual cooking classes with our amazing Sandy and the organic garden and the kitchen, we are going to do all of these things. So they're on the radar and we're thinking about it. They are going to be determined largely by what flexibility we have to do that. But having said that, we are thinking of those things, but here's an invitation for the parent that posed that question, and to any of you who have similar type questions or pieces of feedback, please reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'd love to share a little bit more with you. So again, really great question, something that's on the radar, but would love to engage more with those of you that are interested. So thanks for that. Dr. Berg, there's a question. It's related to enrollment, but I'll pass it to you. It's the impact on class sizes. So essentially the question is, as we are managing our enrollment, are we going to ensure that class sizes remain where they are from a mission standpoint?
Great question. Honestly, we have an obligation to our families to provide a product, for lack of a better word, or an educational experience of the highest quality that we can provide. The board has been very clear on class sizes, that they don't want those to get into the size that we no longer have a niche or something that sets us apart and lowers our quality. Now, a school can grow without class sizes growing. Now, we are in no race to become huge, and Craig's a great person to answer that, but we're in no size race. We want to have mission appropriate students and make sure to fulfill our charter. But if we added, let's say, a class of third graders, that class would still be, I'm going to take a stab at the number because I don't have it by heart, that class would still be at 18 or 19. It would just be an additional group. And that's just for an example's sake. That doesn't mean we're going to add another class of third graders. So basically the size of the class is different than the size of the school. And we'll keep both in mind as we go forward, because that classroom experience is vital. But we also have some space considerations. Even if we add another class of the appropriate size, can our cafeteria handle that? Can our passing times handle that? Can our assemblies handle that? So we're very thoughtful in talking about both issues, the size of the actual classroom and the size of the school.
Thanks, Dr. Berg. Yeah, absolutely right. That is number one in the mission and core values, is to ensure that we execute on what we've promised our families. And we recognize very humbly that you are investing in the school with your greatest gift in the world, right? And we don't take that lightly. So we do appreciate that. And our commitment remains the same, to ensuring that he or she receives the most amazing educational experience possible. We know class size is an integral part of that. So there's a couple longer questions, and I just need to read through them for a second. So you bear with me just so I can get a summary of it. So just one sec. Okay, so I think I've got it right. And Dr. Berg, I'm going to direct you your way, but it may be one that we want to get some more context and get back to the family with. But the question is, we have learning support teachers for each grade for students who might need some support. What are the thoughts about having enrichment specialists for each grade to support the teachers and the students on the other end of the continuum? So I believe they're asking about what you alluded to before, or talked about before, in terms of challenging those students that need more challenge. I think I paraphrased that correctly.
Yes, and that's a real forthright, honest question. So thank you. These questions are all spot on, and what would be top of mind if I was sitting in your seat right now. The best advantage or the best investment we can make is to ensure our teachers have the skills and resources to meet every need in the classroom. I know just recently, my experience in the US, the state funded 2% for highly capable, and you had to draw an artificial line somewhere of who the 2% was according to a test that they took on one particular day, and who the 2.5% or the 3% were. And so it's an inherently flawed system, even if we had an army of teachers that could stretch. Instead, we invest in instructional coaches to help our teachers really learn more strategies. And this will be an overall focus for the school next year. Also, nothing can replace that relationship between the teacher and parent and child. So as the children get older, we hope that they can advocate more, and we need to teach into that, to lean into that, but we also rely on parents to help us with that as well, because something could get by us that we don't know. We have really well-behaved students, and sometimes that can fool you into thinking that they are all engaged. So you are spot on with the question. Rather than specialists coming in, we will try to all be specialists, and we will depend on our relationship with parents during that journey.
Yeah, really great questions, everybody. Thank you. We've got several more, but we only have time for one more question. So again, commitment will be to get back to those who pose the questions with answers, and of course to the whole group with a general summary of the questions. Dr. Berg, one more question, and it's related to flex days. I think there are questions about KHDA number of days, number of flex days that we have, and I think it's important for us to unpack the purpose of the flex days and what they are. So that's the last question, and I will send that to you.
Certainly, and thanks for asking that. That's the kind of honest relationship we very much need. Flex days were really born out of trying to support our teachers and their capacity to teach both online and in person at the same time. I know for me, I've been out of the classroom quite a while, but even simply leading a meeting where we have one or two people online and the rest in person, it's a real retraining of my brain to try to attend to a quality experience for the people online and engage in group processes and quality experiences in person. So our teachers have been at that a while now. But they're worn pretty thin, as I'm sure you are, by supporting some online learning at home. And the younger the children are, we know it's harder and harder to support online learning. So we thank you for all that you've done. And I hear stories from my own family on how difficult that has been. So really the flex days were an attempt to relieve that a little bit, to do some one-on-one conferencing with students, potentially to pull some small groups together online, and to do some professional development in this brave new world of online teaching, which was brand new to all of us in March 2020. So that was our attempt this year. I think there were some successes with that, but I think there were some costs to that. So we have re-examined flex days for next year, and will likely be returning to what we did for those of you veterans 2 years ago, which was an early release occasionally to attend to professional development rather than an entire day not on campus for our kids. So we heard you loud and clear, and we appreciate you reaching out to express those concerns.
Thank you, Dr. Berg, and thank you to everyone. Those questions are great. Your engagement is important. And what we hope you heard tonight, as we've said over the last few webinars, transparency, commitment to each and every child, commitment to this community, and building on what is such a great place. But what I also hope you leave here with is pride in ASD, knowledge that this school is in great shape, from the leadership of the board through to the financials, through to enrollment, to great teachers, to great students, to the return of all of our events and community activities. We are going to emerge stronger than ever, and we're thankful that you're here and that you're with us, and your partnership continues to be an integral part of each and every day at the school. So thanks to the panelists. You guys were awesome. Appreciate your support tonight. Thanks to everyone who joined us. We will get this recording edited as quickly as possible and put up on YouTube and shared on Connect ASD. And as you've heard a couple times tonight, we're here to help. We've got just 10 days left. We're going to finish with a bang and a whole bunch of momentum. But if there's anything that you or your family needs before then, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.